What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got some incredibly shocking and very sad news for the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and that is the website YGO Singles is going to be shutting down. As far as I know, at the end of the week, this website is going to be no more, or at least they will not be an operating business. Maybe the website will be up until the end of the month, but they will not actually be selling any more cards, and this is incredibly sad. I think it's also just shocking because Yu-Gi-Oh Singles, to me, amongst the Yu-Gi-Oh community, has kind of become a household name over the last year. In fact, I would probably say over the last 18 months, it's established itself from a website that I had never really heard about to an absolute powerhouse. I mean, when you think about the secondary market and you're looking to buy cards, I would probably say that most people would consider like Troll Toad, eBay, TCG Player, and then Yu-Gi-Oh Singles would be kind of maybe a tier below, but it would definitely be in your first 5 choices. And it's crazy because, 2-3 years ago, no one had really ever heard of this site except maybe the people who, created it. I'm not even sure how long Yu-Gi-Oh Singles has been operating, but I feel like because of the support that they had with some of the Yu-Gi-Tubers like John Moore, Imco40, and Zodiac Duelist, they really put themselves on the map. Now, I don't know the exact reason as to why they're shutting down. I've heard, multiple stories and multiple reasons. Everything from they don't trust Konami anymore and they're not, loving some of Konami's business practices, to some of the stories that I've heard on Reddit, which is, everything from they were doing shady business practices and Konami has already replaced them, and good riddance. And I'm not exactly sure what to believe, but I'm actually very sad to see this website go. First off, I will say I was never sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh Singles. They never gave me anything free, but I actually did order. In fact, you can see that I'm logged on under Randall, which, is my name, and you can see my order history. I had significant orders on this website. If you zoom in and you see these are all in USD. They got me for about $1,000. When I was doing my deck profiles, I was pretty much ordering everything from this website. Most of these cards I did sell after I did the deck profiles or after I played at an event or something like that, just because it was really, it was kind of one of the best deals out there with the 5% off code that they were giving to Yu-Gi tubers. And I don't want to speculate, right? But I do not believe that they're going or they're shutting down because of poor sales. I don't believe that they're doing it because they weren't making money. And this isn't off, any like hard evidence. I don't have any sources or anything like that. But just me kind of looking at the business from, I guess, a distance. A lot of times when I would watch Yu-Gi-Tubers Market Watch, I would see this website, when a brand new kind of chase card would come out or from a set, they would have, sales, and they would end up selling these cards out immediately. I'd always watch like one of John's videos and he'd say, Yu-Gi-Oh Singles has already sold out in Ash Blossom after like a day, or they sold out in a couple hours. And I don't know, when I see them doing that consistently, it just makes me, I guess, kind of skeptical when it comes to them actually like going out of business, maybe from the sake of, or maybe from the stance of they weren't just making a lot of money or they weren't making any money. I know that they were from Oceania, New Zealand, and, shipping to the United States and other places in Europe could have been a bitch, but I just don't believe that they actually went out of business because they weren't, selling enough product. And personally, whether you like a certain Yu-Gi-Oh business, even if you've been maybe screwed over or if they messed up one of your orders, I personally hate whenever I see a business or even like a card shop, that does Yu-Gi-Oh shut down, because it's just honestly bad for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. And it really sucks for the local community, especially for like the younger players who play these card games, because if you end up losing your local card shop and there's not another locals that's nearby, you end up losing that tournament experience. A lot of people who went to the locals, you don't see them anymore. Maybe they're not your same age. And if you don't have a card, then you can't generally like get to regionals in your state, or you can't travel to other states to actually get that tournament experience that you were getting at your locals. Even if it wasn't as competitive, locals can still be hella fun. I remember actually when I first learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, I was like 16 years old, and I learned how to play Yu-Gi-Oh in Baltimore, and my friend's brother actually owned a shop up there, and he found Yu-Gi-Oh to be incredibly like profitable, more profitable than what he was actually trying to do. He's like, what, why don't we just convert this into a Yu-Gi-Oh store? But after about a year and a half, his store closed closed down, and I didn't play the actual card game again for about 2 years because there was just no one to actually play with. I mean, I had to play everything online with like YVD, the old school dueling book before dueling book was a thing, but I didn't play the physical card game for like 2 years because there was just nobody to actually play with, and I was, like 17 years old. I didn't have a car or anything like that. And actually, just a quick story, not to get too sidetracked, but every time I hear about like a Yu-Gi-Oh business or just a card game business in general or a local shutting down, it always reminds me of this shop that used to host regionals in North Carolina. So it was called the Hobby Shop, and this won't be too long of a story, but they ended up getting a regional event, and for them it was incredibly huge because they were in a small town called Wilson, North Carolina, which the population was only like 50,000 people. To compare, Charlotte, where I live in North Carolina, our population is 850,000, and this place was a small little Yu-Gi-Oh spot that, a lot of people from the other big cities like Raleigh, where I used to live at the time, Charlotte, Virginia, South Carolina, they call it the tri-state area when it comes to like Yu-Gi-Oh, because we would get any Yu-Gi-Oh events in those areas would get people from all 3 states, but no one had really heard of this place before. It was their first regional, and it was just kind of in the middle of nowhere. Yu-Gi-Oh was generally held in big cities when it came to North Carolina, like Durham, Charlotte, Greensboro. But this place, they ended up posting this on Pojo. Their manager, Gina, was such a nice, sweet old lady. You can tell how old this is because not only does it say 2009, but the current pack that you get is actually Raging Battle, which is just crazy. She made this huge post on Pojo that talks about, how we've been given the honor of hosting one of these regional events. And it was the craziest thing because I went and they ended up hosting the event in the middle of a freaking mall. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced when it comes to regionals. And throughout my Yu-Gi-Oh, lifetime playing this game, I've probably gone to, 50 plus regionals, but I never played regionals in a mall. And not only was it a well-ran tournament, but it was such a unique experience. After that, she ended up making the tournaments bigger. They implemented the bounty system that the YCS has, the YCS circuit, and she ended up making me a bounty for one of these events. In fact, it was such a big deal for this small town to actually get a Yu-Gi-Oh event. It even made their local newspaper. They had multiple articles here. I couldn't find the one with the pictures where they were, the newspaper people walking around taking pictures of the Yu-Gi-Oh players, because I was actually in one of those pictures, but for the life of me, I couldn't actually find it. And it was such a jarring experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh in the middle of a mall with all of these, old people walking around like, what are you kids doing? You're playing poker over there or something like that. The people would ask us. They'd be, people walking by shopping in Foot Locker, and they'd be like, what is all these people doing? And I don't know, it was just such a nice and refreshing experience. And I ended up, topping a couple of their events that I ended up playing in. And this place, the Hobby Shop, closed because the mall ended up shutting down. And I don't know, I always have really fond memories of that place, the Hobby Shop. So I never want to see a Yu-Gi-Oh business or any type of trading card shop shut down. And honestly, I think that this is kind of sad. But, maybe there's going to be an opportunity for them to reopen if they end up getting their situation, squared away. I'm talking about Yu-Gi-Oh Singles, or maybe we'll find out the real reason why Yu-Gi-Oh Singles shut down. But whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. I am very sad to see this website go because, I don't know, it just felt like another one of those, secondary market giants like TCG Player, Troll and Toad. It felt like a good, legitimate option. And, competition is always good for business because if they're selling something cheap, then Troll and Toad has to lower their prices to be competitive, and now we don't have that anymore. Anyways, whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching as always.